Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that almost everything you believed about yourself, success, fear, and reality was only one version of the truth. Not the whole truth, just the story you inherited. Now imagine that a single book has the power to crack that story open. Not with magic, not with conspiracy, but with ideas so deep that once they settle into your mind, the world around you begins to look completely different. By the end of this video, you may never look at your own life the same way again. We often think reality is something fixed. We believe that what we see is what exists. We assume our thoughts belong to us. Our fears are facts, and our limits are permanent. But what if reality is shaped just as much by the way you interpret the world as by the world itself? There is a book that has fascinated psychologists, philosophers, artists, and thinkers for generations. It isn't famous because it's easy to understand. It became legendary because it forces you to question everything you thought you knew about your own mind. The book is called The Red Book. This isn't a normal book. It isn't a novel. It isn't a self-help guide with 10 easy steps to happiness. It's the personal journey of a man who dared to explore the deepest parts of his own mind. Instead of running away from uncomfortable thoughts, he walked directly into them. At first, that sounds strange. Why would anyone voluntarily face their darkest fears? Because avoiding them doesn't make them disappear. Think about this. Have you ever told yourself, "I'm not an angry person," yet exploded over something small? Have you ever said, "I'm confident," while secretly worrying about what everyone thinks of you? Have you ever smiled in public while struggling inside? Most people wear masks. They aren't fake on purpose. They simply learn that some emotions are acceptable while others must stay hidden. Imagine a person who spends years pretending to be perfect. They never admit mistakes. They never show weakness. Everyone admires them. But inside, they're exhausted. One day, all that pressure becomes impossible to hold, and everything falls apart. The problem wasn't weakness. The problem was pretending. One of the biggest ideas in this book is that every person has a hidden side, a part of ourselves we don't like to acknowledge. It contains fears, jealousy, insecurity, selfishness, anger, and even forgotten talents we've buried because they didn't fit the image we wanted others to see. Most people spend their entire lives running from this hidden side. But according to the book, the more you run from it, the more it controls you. Think of it like a shadow. When the sun is behind you, your shadow follows everywhere. You don't have to look at it. You can pretend it isn't there. But it's still moving with every step you take. Our minds work the same way. Ignore your fears, and they quietly influence your decisions. Ignore your insecurities, and they shape your relationships. Ignore your anger, and it leaks into your words without you realizing it. Real freedom doesn't come from pretending these parts don't exist. It comes from understanding them. Here's a simple example. Imagine two people lose their jobs. The first person immediately thinks, "I'm a failure. I'll never recover." The second person thinks, "This hurts, but maybe this is an opportunity to build something better." Same event, different reality. The circumstances didn't create the future. The interpretation did. That's one of the most powerful lessons in this book. Reality isn't only what happens. Reality is also the meaning you give to what happened. This explains why two people can experience the exact same situation but remember it completely differently years later. One remembers pain. The other remembers growth. The event stayed the same. The story changed. And stories shape lives. Now here's something even more fascinating. The book suggests that dreams aren't random movies your brain creates while you sleep. Instead, dreams may be messages from parts of yourself that you've ignored while awake. Think about how often you've had a strange dream that stayed with you all day. Maybe you were falling. Maybe you were lost in a city. Maybe you were being chased. Most people forget these dreams. But what if they were trying to tell you something? Imagine your mind as a huge house. You spend almost all your time in the living room. It's comfortable. It's familiar. But there are dozens of locked rooms you've never entered. Some contain old memories. Some contain fears. Some contain creativity. Some contain courage you've never discovered. The book invites you to unlock those rooms. Not because it's easy. Because that's where transformation begins. Today's world teaches us to move faster, work harder, scroll longer, stay distracted. Every notification pulls your attention away from yourself. We know what's happening in other people's lives every minute of the day, but many people don't know what's happening inside their own minds. Isn't that strange? We've become experts at observing everyone else while remaining strangers to ourselves. This book challenges that habit. It asks uncomfortable questions. Who are you when nobody is watching? What are you pretending not to feel? What fear keeps repeating itself in different forms throughout your life? What part of yourself have you abandoned just to fit in? These aren't easy questions, but they are life-changing ones. Consider a seed. If you looked only at the seed, you might think that's all it could ever be. Small, ordinary, limited but hidden inside is an entire tree. Branches, leaves, fruit, shade. None of it is visible at first. Human potential works the same way. Most people judge themselves by who they are today. Very few ask who they could become. The difference between those two questions changes everything. Another powerful lesson is that growth often begins with confusion. Think about learning a new language. At first, everything feels impossible. Nothing makes sense. You make mistakes constantly. Then one day, almost without noticing, you begin understanding conversations. Life works like that too. Confusion isn't always a sign you're lost. Sometimes it's proof you're growing. Many people quit during that uncomfortable stage because they assume discomfort means failure. But what if discomfort is simply the price of transformation? Every butterfly spends time inside a cocoon. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. But inside, everything is changing. Your life may have seasons like that too. Moments when progress is invisible. Moments when you feel stuck. Moments when you question yourself. The book reminds us that transformation usually happens long before the world notices it. And here's another surprising truth. The greatest battles in life rarely happen between you and other people. They happen between different parts of yourself. One part wants safety. Another wants adventure. One wants approval. Another wants freedom. One wants comfort. Another wants purpose. Every decision becomes a conversation between these voices. Most people never notice that conversation. They simply react. But awareness changes everything. When you begin observing your thoughts, instead of automatically believing them, you create space. In that space, freedom begins. You realize you don't have to obey every fear. You don't have to believe every doubt. You don't have to become every emotion you experience. Thoughts come and go. You are the one watching them. That simple realization has transformed countless lives. Now think about the people you admire most. They aren't fearless. They simply stopped allowing fear to make every decision. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward while fear is still present. The book teaches that becoming your true self isn't about adding something new. It's about removing everything that was never really you. The expectations, the labels, the roles, the masks. Little by little, what's left is something authentic. And authenticity has a quiet power. It doesn't need constant approval. It doesn't need to prove itself. It simply exists. Perhaps that's why so many people spend years chasing success, but still feel empty. They built the life others expected instead of the one their deeper self wanted. Success without self-understanding often feels surprisingly hollow. But when your actions align with who you truly are, even ordinary moments begin to feel meaningful. Maybe that's the greatest message this book offers. Reality isn't changing because the world suddenly becomes different. Reality changes because you become different. The same sunrise feels different. The same conversation feels different. The same challenge feels different. Not because life changed overnight, because your way of seeing changed. And once your perspective changes, your choices change. Your relationships change. Your habits change. Your future changes. That's why some books are remembered for centuries. Not because they give answers, because they teach us better questions. So, before you close this video, ask yourself one question. What part of yourself have you been avoiding? The answer may be uncomfortable, but it may also be the doorway to the life you've been searching for. If this video made you pause, think, or question the way you see yourself and the world, don't let this be the end of the conversation. Subscribe to the channel and join us as we continue exploring timeless ideas from psychology, philosophy, and human nature. Share this video with someone who is searching for deeper meaning, and leave a comment below with one belief you've changed about yourself. Your next breakthrough may begin with a single question and the courage to keep asking it.